5 all-ins.
6-1.
We're talking a 15k pot going on.
It's going to be a biggie, Tower. I'll tell you that. And Carl and Gary still going to have betting on the side. Good luck, Sean, sorting this one out. Pray for the dealer, Tower. That's what I'm going to say when this all goes in.
I mean, it's still like to know what Mitch has got.
Yeah, it just don't make sense to me because obviously he can't have aces, he can't have kings.
He's just took a picture of them for his fans.
I reckon he's going to have Queen, Queen, Jack, Jack, 10, 10. We'll go with that.
Queen, Queen, Jack, Jack, 10, 10.
I'm going on the dead cards, Tower, but the fact that he's taking a picture as well, I'm guessing it's a hand he's not going to have too often. Yeah. So Carl and Gary both just getting the lot in.
Well, he can't have kings. He could have queens.
Yeah, Queen.
You could have jacks.
Queen, Queen, Jack, Jack, 10, 10. Something like that for Mitch.
Spreader, Mitch.
Maybe with the ace of spades in there.
There we go.
He's got the King, Queen, Jack, 10,
Queen,
6, 7.
There we go. 6, 7, 10, Jack, Queen, King.
Having a little gamble. Neither his suits lives. Heart's not working for him. Diamond's not working for him. So Mitch going to need a miracle here.
Good luck, Sean.
Oh, he's got 3 suits here, Mitch, to be fair to him. He's got the Shablammer.
The Shlabama, I don't like that word. So we have a 5-way all-in, 15k pot, and it's 4, 5, 9. There is a side betting, because we've got 2 people still with money. It's checked. 10 on the turn.
Yeah, that's a massive turn card for Mitch now, Tower. He has got the super wrap here. Any 6 through king that doesn't pair the board and isn't the club is going to give him the nuts. 9 on the river. Who's got the 9?
Who's got the 10s?
Did someone have 10s? Carl's got 10-9 for Carl Shaw.
Carl Shaw, baby, the gentleman.
He's going to scoop the lot. 21.5k pot.
Whoa.
Going the way of Carl. Phelps the entire table, but Mark and Carl is just up to 21.9k, just like that. And the 10-9 does it.
Wow.
On the end there.
Well, if nobody pulls up, we've done.
There we go. There we go. That could be it, guys.
He's felted everybody.
Oh.
Wow, Carl Shaw. 10-9. It comes 10-9, turning river. Wow. What a game. Well done to the dealer. Big round of applause, please.
It's just Kelly and Mark weren't in that one. Well, it shouldn't be too hard, Tao, because I think Carl's got everyone covered. So it's not. It's just everyone give Carl their chips, I think. I think that's how this is going to go. I think everyone's just going to be giving Carl Shaw money.
Never been done before, just for the Goliath. There we go. Right. Do you ever wonder what cards look like before they've left the factory? All right. Before they've been printed on, they look a little bit like this. Okay. Now I'm going to show you a trick. What did you say your name was? John. Can you help me with the trick? Okay. So stick closer. Stick closer. Okay. You're gonna help with the trick. I'm going to give you this card, John. Okay. That's yours for me. All right. John, what I want you to do is just call out stop anywhere. Just here, I put the card on top. Perfect. All these cards are printed. These are already printed, and you found one card that's obviously printed. It's obviously a printed card. It's out of a printed deck. The important thing is that it's random. Is the ink a little bit wet there? You feel a bit moist? Just say yes. Yes. Why are you lying? All right. If I take the ink, because it's a little bit wet, if we place it here like this. Now that's how you print the backs. This is how they print the faces. You actually take the face of the card and print it here like this. The problem is, it's a mirror image, so you can't play with that card. To actually get it to work, you have to take the mirror card, you press the mirror card, and that's when you print a proper one like this, okay? Now here's the scary thing, is if the ink's actually wet, because you said it was wet, right? Say yes, John, yeah. Right, you take the wet ink like here, and then you pick up a real card like this, and then you get a face on the back. I don't even know how that happens. Check it out, if I take this one, you can even print the corners like this as well. I don't know how the corner gets on there. This is incredible, this one. If you actually take the card, and let's take where's the mirror card? Take the mirror card like this. because it's still a little bit wet. So actually see how it smudges just here like this. One more time, as you take the card, this is my favourite one, because you print it like this, you take the card, you spin it round, and it actually has this whirly pattern on it just like that. What you must never do is take the mirror card, squeeze too hard and shake, because then all the chips go down to the bottom. Thanks very much.
Have you seen that hand tower?
No.
Oh, it's sicko hand.
No, I didn't go home and rewatch everything Patrick Antonius has done on telly. Sorry about that.
Who would do that, Phil?
Who would do that, eh?
Katie, I was starstruck. Honestly, I was.
I would never have known. When you told me outside, I didn't believe you, to be honest.
Yeah, no, Katie was going, yeah, all right, yeah, all right. And I went, no, Patrick Antonius is here. She was like, yeah.
He
Good one,
really
Jay.
was lacking sleep this way. I thought, oh, Jay has lost the plot.
You thought he was in the middle of the desert with no water, did you?
No, I just thought maybe there was like someone who looked like him. Do you know what I mean? And like Jay was like making out and just winding me up.
It was a real deal.
It was actually him, yeah.
And some joker interviewed him as well.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, very,
It must have been quite surreal for him as well, to be fair.
I think you have. We are back
Back and roaring to
for
go.
the final session. And guess what's happening in the final session? We've got the Phils. Oh, we're not even there.
We are here, but we're
That's
not
amazing. We're not even there. Oh, it's like, what's that? Did you watch Capture?
here. No.
Oh, how good was Capture? If you watch Capture, it's all about correction of TV, of videos from around the country, you know, the CCTV videos, and they can make you disappear.
Yeah.
Oh, it's brilliant. If you get a chance to watch it, Capture, fantastic, ladies and gentlemen. Really, really good. And that's what it does. You can talk and you can be there, but not be there. It's really good. Capture, it's called. It's on the BBC iPlayer. Hi, Ian. Just found the feed after the... I did tell everybody that you needed to click it back on, which is why the numbers dropped so much.
Yeah, it's going to run you through who we got, guys. In
Who
one,
we got?
is Stephen Cahoe, in 2, Lauren Bocci, in 3, Johan Schultz, in 4 is Francis Obadon, in 6, Freddy Bogey, in 7 is Dooley, and in 9 is Jamie Lee. And Francis has got a fifth of the chips in play, Tower.
Hey?
A fifth of the chips in play.
Where's he got them from? How do you like them apples? He says. There's a live act on in the sports area,
Oh, is there?
Malarkey. Packed in there.
Is it?
Yep. Busy. Very busy in there.
So Lorenk firing for 13. Blind on blind here. Catching middle pep, and Johan apple in hand. Bit of brain food for the blind on blind confrontation. Calling with his top pair, as he should be. Two of spades on the turn, not changing a thing. Ace 10 of Lorenk, still out in front. Lorenk's recovered well since that hand versus Ryan Spittles.
Oh, have you ordered food, Jay?
Yes, I have ordered food.
I have no idea how I thought that.
Lucy, the waitress,
Yeah.
she's yesterday asked when my food come, I went,
Yeah.
"Can you just get me 6 or 7 sachets of mayonnaise?" She looked at me like that, and then I asked her again today, I go, "Food coming to me." I said, "Can
Are
you
you
just
having
get me
haggis?
what?" I go, "Can you get me?" She goes, "What do you do with them?" Thinks I'm hoarding mayonnaise somewhere.
Right down into the market, selling them on. So we're back. The live stream feed needed to be started on YouTube because of the live stream will be over the 12-hour mark today. And what we are going to remember is at the dinner break is obviously for the Facebook. We're going to stop and start the Facebook feed as well at that time, and so you don't have to. Obviously, I'm guessing anybody who watches it on Facebook will just turn it off. With it being a 60-minute break, you're not just going to watch the clock countdown, are you?
Yeah.
So what we will do in future is from 8 o'clock.
What have we got here?
From then is we're going to. We'll be starting Facebook at that time.
Well, we got a visitor for the last session.
We got a visitor, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, cam's gone. You're going to have to guess who it is.
Guess who it is, ladies and gentlemen. Corrections on.
I'm going to kick Tower out for an hour.
Are you? I've only just sat down with my coffee.
Well, you can go drink it in peace now.
I'm here, like, look. I've got my coffee, a full cup, because I made it. Look at that.
An hour without Tower has a ring to it, doesn't it?
Who's that?
Without Tower.
Who's that? Ladies and gentlemen, who's that? An hour without Tower. Like it. So I'll be back for the final hour with, believe it or not, as you heard, Mr. Andy Hills, and Jay and Andy are going to run you through the first hour of the final session with 15 players left.
Word, and what a time!
For me coffee.
What a time for Andy to come in here.
Andy, you're in.
Look at this for a setup, blind on blind here. Johan checking the pocket jacks on the 9-4 deuce board, and Francis with all. He checks it back. He checks the top and bottom back. If only he knew what Johan had, would have been firing straight away. And Johan checking again with the pocket jacks, and now Francis gonna fire. How's this pot so small here? So 10k bet from Francis, and Johan calling with the jacks, queen of spades on the river. This pot could have been so much bigger here. And Johan checking once more, and Francis just going to have an easy value bet now with his 9 deuce.
I mean, surely Johan was going for the check raise on the flop.
On the flop, yeah, obviously. And now Francis firing for 30k on the river, and I don't see how we're ever going to fold this one as Johan. The way this played, we're just so under-repped here, completing in the small check and flop, check and turn. Our hand doesn't look like what it is from Francis' point of view. He's got a time bank.
It seems like a really clear call to me.
Yeah,
I'm not actually sure whether he's thinking about doing something really thin or like a check raise. Is he? Surely that's what he's thinking. He's not can't think about folding.
Yeah, of course. That's a good point. He might actually be thinking about going for thin value here. There we go. Andy, you're spot on. Is going for the thin value raise in his eyes. Makes it 100k, and Francis is not one to fold. 2 pair here, blind on blind.
I mean, that is super thin, right? On this run out. I don't think it's a bluff. Or is it a bluff?
It can't be a bluff, Andy. It just can't be a bluff. And, Francis.
His hands all ended up played a bit backwards, doesn't it?
Makes the call. And Johan shows the jacks. Francis is going to show the 9 deuce, which is good. And Johan went for the thin value and down to 305k now. And Francis up to 1.5 million, nearly 200 bigs at this stage of a main event. Unbelievable. Maybe he was trying to make up for some lost value, perhaps, with the jacks like on previous streets, or I don't know.
But the queen does hit the villain's range.
Yeah, I know. It's a fun table for you, Andy, this last couple of hours. Well, we've got about an hour 50 now, but it's really, really good table. Got Francis, Jamie's got chips as well, Dooley. We saw Laurent earlier, 3-bet call, 7 deuce suited versus Spittles in a 4-bet pot. Come 10-6-3. Ryan Spittles check called ace king on the 10-6-3. It come 8 of spades on the turn, giving Laurent the gut shot and flush draw. Yeah, so sorry guys, someone just popped in the comments book. So they both, well, he didn't whiff. He had 7 deuce of spades and it come the 8 of spades on the turn, giving him gut shot and flush draw. He then decided to check after picking up all this equity. It come a brick on the river, it paired the 8 or the 6. And then check, Laurent jammed all in with the 7 deuce, and Ryan Spittles found the hero call with ace king higher for his tournament life.
Wow.
With like 30 odd left. It was it was mental, honestly. Tower Andy. I'm so used to saying Tower the last 4 days. It's just ingrained in me now. Huh? Oh yeah, I'll be fine. Yep. How's this week gone for you, Andy?
Well, I got here on Thursday. Main event was very disappointing, but you know, it's one of them where I didn't really have a shot.
Yeah. Just, one of them days.
Lots of pre-flop nonsense.
Nonsense, yeah. You'll get that in these live films.
Yeah.
We've seen some crazy stuff on the feature throughout the week as well, but we never don't. There's always something going on.
I had a lot of fun actually. My day one, not just because I got a pile of chips, but we had Terry Jordan on the table, and
of course, yeah.
sort of, I really enjoy playing with him.
Yeah.
He's a really underrated player in my opinion. Like obviously he does leaky stuff, but he puts you to the test over and over and over again. Reps every scare card. He's really enjoyable to play with. It's like lots of fun, like proper poker with him.
Yeah. So France's 9-6 off here on the button makes it 16, and Freddy's suited jack in the small out the way and over to the big blind. So Dooley with the queen 5. And just getting out of the way.
Probably won't even notice it. You won't even notice this.
You playing the side event tomorrow?
Sorry, went to showdown 150%.
Yeah, don't ask. It happens all the time. I don't even know what goes on with time and graphics.
Yeah, I'm playing. I always play the sides. You know, I stayed for the whole weekend. Played the bounty today. I've got a couple of bounties. This is like a super bounty. You know, it's 100 plus 100 plus 20. So it's.
Okay.
The early levels are insane.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I mean, the maths. I don't think people like appreciate the maths of those games. It's even more extreme than progressive bounties, right?
Yeah.
At the start, the way you should play is it's almost like a long way from poker. You know, in that thing where in satellites, the closer you get to the bubble, it's nothing like poker. There's the same kind of thing pre-flop, and anytime you can get stacks in these super bounties. You know, you don't.
Yeah.
You know, the whole concept of value betting on a river is turned upside down. Normally, you only want to bet when you're called by a range that's 50%, you're 50% or better against, right? Well, that doesn't apply in a bounty when you can put someone in. So it's crazy. I don't think that many people know how to play them correctly.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, the bounties, people aren't aware how much you actually have to adjust and how different it is to just a normal tournament. Obviously, because half the prize pool being made up with the bounties in play.
At least that's my excuse for looking really stupid and doing silly all
Yeah.
Like, that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
Like calling it off with like 6-7 suited. Like, I'm meant to do this. Trust me, I'm meant to do this. So Laurent here should be folding the ace-10. We did see him 4-bet earlier as a bluff, but ace-10 this time out the way. He's done really well to build his chip stack back up, to be fair, after that Ryan hand. Left him just over 100k and now.
So it's Laurent that had the 7-2, was it?
Yeah, it was Laurent that had the 7-2.
Wow, I played with him a fair bit. He was on my table for a good while.
Ben, we've had a lot of questions about that over the weekend, and we've just not been given our opinion on it while we're streaming our own coverage. Obviously, we're on a half-hour delay. I know everything's been going on, but that's overseas. It's not here. Everything all good here in Luton until you walk out the casino.
I will say I've got a 100% success rate of not getting mugged in Luton. I've not got 100% success rate of not being scared.
Yeah, that's low. Hey, start with Poker asks Andy, can you give more detail with the bounty and PKO difference, please? So he's asking, what's the difference between a normal bounty, between a normal bounty and a PKO bounty?
I mean, that's a can of worms. That's a big subject. Normal bounties. You can quantify how many chips a bounty is worth. So when you're working out pot odds, like a very simple scenario is where you face an all-in and you close the action, and you can work out whether you want to make what would otherwise be a loose call to win bounty chips as well as the poker chips. So clearly you should call looser than normal. But it's actually a very complex issue because you've got to think about your future edge as well. You know, you could make a case for like calling off with 7-3 suited or something in some spots, right? But it might be razor thin, and you might think that you'll make more future bounties by not making this call and maintaining your stack. So there's clearly some maths that sort of plays a sort of juggling act between current immediate equity versus future equity, and I don't think anyone's really solved it. I've spoken to some wizards on this, and they've run some simulations to kind of simulate it, but I don't think anyone's got it down to an absolute hard science yet. And I think it has to take into account future. This is my opinion. Has to take into account future skill edge. So that's why no one's really quantified it yet. No one's come up with a definitive answer. I think it actually depends on an enormous number of variables.
That's a very good answer. I find them a lot more fun to play.
It's fun, you know. It's fun, yeah.
You're going to be playing everything in Blackpool?
Hopefully, yeah.
Yep. GUKPT Cup, first time ever. Well, hopefully you won't be playing.
Well, hopefully I won't be playing.
Always enjoy Blackpool, one of my favourite legs, to be fair. I don't know.
Always lively. Always lively.
Well, it's a place I'd never ever go unless it was for a poker tournament, so it's
25 minutes.
I don't know what it is about the place, it's just something there.
Everyone always has a good time.
Yeah. I think it's because it's one stop that everyone travels to, no matter where they're
coming from. People come from like Liverpool, Scotland, you know, all about.
Francis. I thought at Francis we were just going to see an absolute clinic this last session from Francis. I thought he'd be VPing like 60-70%, but it seems like he has just killed the 7-5 of clubs versus a gun open, so
he came to play.
Not the worst example. But I've seen hours and hours of Francis on the live stream, and he is one tricky customer, and he will just mix it up all the time. He won't play any given hand the same in any spot, like you shouldn't anyway, but he'll turn up with holdings that most people wouldn't, if that makes sense. Like he'll get to the river in some spots and people are like, what? How you got that? And but the great thing about it for him, when he's got the goods, a lot of the time people pay him off, which
confuses people, right?
Yeah. So Dooley here, shoving for 26 big blinds over an open and a call with ladies. This is perfectly fine.
Yeah, a lot of people so it's a cliche in poker, isn't it, that when someone's loose, they get paid off when they have it. But I think that's often misapplied. You know, like people are a bit more transparent than they realise especially when they're against good players. You know, they're loose and they don't actually do exactly the same thing when they have it. You know, they bet bigger when they have the nuts or something.
I find this a lot. Like Francis is from there, so players like Francis, players like Terry, players like Leon. These players give off the image that they're really loose and they're just going to go for it in every time, but they're actually really smart because they're aware that everyone thinks that, and then they use that to their advantage. And I think it's
and some of these players don't. There's certain spots where I don't think they ever don't have it. So you know, it takes a more discerning customer to sort of to work out, you know, that no, don't pay him off here. But you know, in this other situation, keep calling. You know.
And I think there's players like that have built an image for themselves. Mad Turk, another one, that they're just some loose. But then when they get to the crunch time, they do sometimes start tiring up and playing a little bit more snug. And people,
got gears.
Yeah, people still expect them to be playing from full throttle when they've toned it down. And something to be aware of. Like Francis' results speak for himself, and he's had some great results over the last 12 months. He's always been there, always seems to find a stack. Opening gun and Stephen Hip with 21 bigs on the button, 9-7 of hearts. I think versus gun. He might just be folding this one. Although
No, I don't think any option's totally ridiculous here, especially against someone who's opening really wide.
yeah. No triple nipple. We lost Riyadh just before the break. Oh, we've actually lost another one. Eon Bivol has gone from the outer table, so we lost Eon when we just got back. So we are. Oh, we saw it. We must have seen it. So we're down to 14. We're down to 14 players. 2 tables off 7, losing Eon Bivol. Eon was the one that Francis done the old stop and go in the 5-bet pot against earlier. If you were tuning in for that, oh, it's great. Great watch, Andy. Just pills the king queen to the 5-bet, out of position, just donk lead, shoves into the aggressor, gets called by worse. Absolute genius. Honestly, it's genius, because like the opponent thinks you're never doing this with a king, so you can't have it, and Francis does have the king. It's just genius.
I'll tell you the highlight of my weekend, actually.
I'm sure the chat would love to hear. I'm ready.
Playing with Terry for most of day one, and I did something I never ever do. So often people, when they run a bluff and they get someone to make a tank fold, they show the bluff, so there's a bit of ego involved in this usually, and people sometimes say things like, I'm trying to balance, I want to let him know that I don't always have it, but I don't think that's the real reason people normally do it. Anyway, I did actually feel like there was a good spot to run a 3-barrel against Terry, and I did get it through, and I feel like he perceives me as a bit nitty. Like, probably, I think bordering on he might find it a bit boring to play against me, because, he just thinks, side fold, and so I felt like I could get this through. But afterwards, David Doherty, who was also on the table, he egged me on to show. He was like, "Oh, this would be so funny if you showed a bluff here," and I caved in. I never ever do this, but I showed the bluff, and I'll be allowed to say the word.
Yeah.
On there. Can we say that?
As it's past 9 o'clock, we'll let you off with that one.
So Terry was really affronted by me showing a bluff against her. I didn't do it to try and make him look bad, but he goes, "You tosser," and he called me a tosser 4 times. And but the funny thing about it was afterwards, he was going instead of a lot of people resolve, right, next time I'm going to get you, right. This is what most people do, but Terry was like, right, I'm going to bluff you, and I'm going to show it. So he promised that he was going to run a bluff against me and show it. So it was so it changed the dynamic of every time I was in a pot, he was in there trying to do. I was and he got loads of really good scare cards. And I know he's looking for the scare card, but I got some terrible rivers where it was almost impossible for him to to not have it. It made a really interesting dynamic.
Well, we've got a hand here, 3-bet pot. Francis 3-betting the ace-queen here. Jamie peeling the 9-7 of hearts with position. And both players with him. Francis just with the ace high here. Jamie has to call this one. I think once Francis 3 gets out of position south of 3x, we're always going to be peeling the 9-7 of hearts in position here this deep. And Francis continuing for 55. Yeah, that's probably just going to be the end of Jamie. Not much going on for us here. Does let it go. You in London next week, Andy?
No. I'm travelling next week, and
Okay.
next thing is Blackpool.
Blackpool, okay. Where are you off to? Just off of Georgie, somewhere nice?
No, I'm going to France next week, playing a little comp near Bordeaux.
I remember you used to be the jet setter. What was it? The flag? I'm not going to say that.
Yeah, it's a bit like the word we just said.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
we
it's,
used to travel in and go everywhere. And
Yeah, it's I've got more mixed feelings about it now. Like I love doing it, but it's a bit more expensive than it used to be.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
since COVID, but it is more pricey, and airports are more of a nuisance than it used to be.
Yeah.
You have to get there earlier for flights, and there's a lot more waiting around. And
what do you do with a jet? I thought after that year you had back in 2018 or 2017, whenever it was. That was the year around the hills, I remember. I used to see your Twitter just winning everything, final tables. You got your WSOP final table and bracelet event as well that year.
yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's like it's relentless, though. You know, I was when I wasn't actually travelling on a plane or playing, I was sitting in front of Skyscanner and TripAdvisor. You know, it's a lot of planning to
of course,
try and keep it affordable. Like I kept the flights prices really down. You'd be surprised how little I spent on flights, but it is, you know, it is a grind. You know.
So Laurent kit, 3 bends to 67k, and that should be the end of it here. Dooley never peeling off this stack, and I think Jamie out of position. Not going to be coming along either. It's gun open, +1 flat, and Laurent still chooses to squeeze, showing significant strength. And does get it through.
It's going to be a sports book tomorrow, I think. Should be. Yeah.
There will be. That will be out around 7:30, 8 in the morning.
A lot to be said for getting there early.
A lot. There's actually people that set alarms literally to get up just to get in early for the sports book.
Pass. Pass.
We've got Queen 9 for Laurent.
Pass.
Out the way. Do you know this man, this Johan, Andy?
He busted me today, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I do know. I've been at the table 3 times and at 3 hands, and
Just the way, like, you can tell a lot of the time by the way someone handles himself at the table. Like, it just seems like he does play quite a lot of
he
poker
seems
and-
extremely experienced. And
Yeah,
actually, so there was everyone was talking about the fact that London Tice was in the field,
Yeah.
and I didn't know what he looked like. I don't know anything about that guy. I've just heard of him, and
Yeah, yeah.
the way people were talking about him, I thought that might be him, because you know, he had a sort of presence at the table that was like extremely experienced, extremely comfortable, and the way he called off my 33 big blind jam was like a reg going, yep, this is a call. He really had an extremely, like, not just a reg but like a tough reg kind of presence about him.
Yeah, he seems to have been played well. Well, he's been on the feature table a bit. Seems young, but seems to know what he's up to. Also saw him chatting with the clan, the Hardcastle, and Nicholas seems to know all that lot. So,
do you know where he's from?
I don't.
Sounds a bit German or something.
Yeah, German
he had a bit of an accent, but I didn't listen to him for long enough to say for sure. So limp pot, often the offsuit king's going to raise here, but he checks it back.
Nine of diamonds on the tub. Here we go, Van Basten. Thank you very much. This is what we're looking for from the chat box. Johan is a young Danish player, by some considered one of the best online players in DK. He is an instructor on Learn WPT, described as Lucky Chewie's go-to person for strategy and solvers.
Well, that fits with my feel read on him.
That's exactly.
Excellent.
He sounds like a bit of a boss. Oh, Johan. It'd be nice to see him make day 3 with a stack perhaps and see how he approaches it. It's a great thing about these streams when you do get to see some of the best play and how they proceed in spots and what they're doing and try to understand why they're doing it. Look at France's stack though, that is just incredible.
One of the things you see when when we get to watch the beasts playing is you see them do something that's surprising, and you go and look it up in a solver afterwards, and you go, "Oh wow, that is a thing." That's one of the ways to learn. They can sort of draw your attention to something that might be counterintuitive or isn't what most regs do.
Like checking the jack, completing the jacks, blind on blind we saw earlier against Francis, and then checking flop with the overpair, and then also checking turn with the overpair. I'll go in for the check raise twice, and because that was a really unorthodox line when he went for the value raise on the river.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused by the river, I'll be honest.
Gary Miller's spot on. There's no strategy or solver to deal with Francis though. You've just got to close your eyes and put the chips in most of the time.
Raise 16,000 total.
And there he is, Queen 8 of clubs in the cut-off.
Pass.
Dooley in the small, Jack 10 off here.
Pass.
In the mark, I like Dooley's fold. And Jamie 7-3 of clubs here. And it's the one player that does have him covered at the table. We're suited, we can flop a straight. And it's Francis. Oh, Francis is actually limped here, Andy, I just realised that. He's limped him with the Queen 8 of clubs. I'm really surprised that Dooley didn't complete Jack 10 off then.
Cool.
I thought it was...
It doesn't feel like Jamie's going to attack the limp very often, so assuming the graphic is correct.
Check.
As he saw into the future and saw that he was going to whiff completely.
Bet 16,000.
I think this is going to get through. 7 high backdoor stuff, not really justifying a call, and I think we have to play a little bit tighter against someone very unpredictable. You have to play slightly more solid values. I think that will get you far.
Yeah. But I say it, Andy, Francis is probably one of my favourite players to watch on the stream. That supports the tour regularly. Like, he's a really fun player to watch because He just does stuff that you don't usually see, but a lot of the time it actually works.
Does it feel to you like quite unbalanced stuff at times? You know,
No,
does
I
it seem a
don't
bit
think
insane? Because see, I feel like in some ways solvers can be misunderstood, right? You know, everyone's talking about GTO and solver and stuff these days, but it's not as though it's terrible to do a certain thing with a certain hand just because a solver doesn't usually do that thing with that hand.
Yep.
What solvers are trying to achieve overall is frequencies, right? So you've got a certain percentage of bluffs and a certain percentage of value, and then you've got a certain amount of board coverage on the next street, and so on and so forth. What he's trying to achieve, but just because you chose to use different hands to achieve that, you won't necessarily be very much worse in EV just because you chose to use different hands in your mix up, your mix of hands. We're often talking about like morsels of EV, the difference between using this set of hands and this as your bluffs and this set of hands as your value versus a slightly different combination, right? I mean, of course, solvers. The computers try and work out a strategy that would work against another strategy using a perfect strategy. So they are trying to eke out those tiny, tiny bits of EV. But just because you weren't supposed to continue unless you had a diamond or something in your hand, it doesn't mean that it won't work to float in a certain spot without a diamond. It's just that a solver can work out it's slightly better to do it with a diamond. So you can't just say that someone's terrible because they did a thing that a solver doesn't approve.
Yeah. This is interesting here because these spots when Freddy's got 21 bigs here, and if Francis opens hijack and we've got 21 bigs and we've got like ace king, ace queen, a lot of the time we're just going to rip, I think, Andy. So I think when we see these free bets off of these like 20 big blind stacks, it's pretty polar towards like the free bet bluffs and then like the super night hands, your aces, your kings, your queens. Just because a lot of people off of 20 bigs over and open, they've got ace king, ace queen, nines, tens, jacks, they're just going to rip it in. So a lot of the time in these spots here, I always see...
I feel like it's a bit too much nonsense in there.
A lot of nonsense, and then obviously the aces, the kings, the queens. Oh my god, I've just seen the flop. Francis, stop it! Stop flopping straights today. How does he do it?
Check.
And double gut shot now for the ace 10. Imagine an 8 on the river, that would be ill for Freddy. Same for a queen actually for Francis. Checking the nuts twice here, going for the check raise.
Wow. I mean, the ace 10 might feel like it's got a bit too much showdown and a bit too much, drawing equity to make the bluff here. But with other parts of his range, he might have taken a stab and regretted it.
Yeah. Here comes Jack on the river now. Now I'm surely going to see Francis go for value. Looking to see how the GTO EPT players approach Francis next week, says Chris.
Bet 60,000.
I mean, it doesn't tend to look like a bluff when you go check, 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 and then bet. It does. Against a lot of players, you tend to think that's quite value heavy. Quite a fairly predictable value range. But you might think that he looks like he's repping quite thin.
We literally beat nothing here with the ace 10. I guess our 10 does play, so maybe some ace 6 through ace deuce suited, which Francis might peel versus this side. And Freddy's actually thinking about heroing this, and this is the Francis factor, Andy. What would be a snap fold against most opponents? We've got Freddy burning for a time bank chip here in a 3-bet pot with just ace 10 high on a board that can plausibly smash the range of Francis being the core of the 3-bet.
Can't really discount any pair though, can you? Here, there is plenty he could be value betting.
Of course. No, he folds. I saw Francis turn his hand over, so I was shooting Freddy called, but he folded. Good fold from Freddy. If you want the lights back on, Andy, you have to stand up, walk towards the door. It's got a sensor on it. We've got poker in the dark going on. There we go.
Big blind and ante, please. No.
Nick Bassoud, yes. James Mitchell is still in. You can see him on the outer table in seat 1. 2 tables left. He's on trap 1 on the outer. Last bust out was Ian Bobby.
1, 2, 3.
And we're down to 14 players.
7, 8, 9, 10.
You don't even need to use them.
Give me one. No, you're not son. I was going to give it back,
I'll be wearing Towers on form today. He's very energetic, he's very dancey, he's very loud.
Don't even know where he finds the energy. It must be all those sugary and fatty foods.
I will warn you before he comes back, especially he's probably out there on the dance floor right now. They've got a live band, ain't they? Now with the Kings for Francis, makes it 16 from +1. It's the life of Francis. I said earlier on stream, I just want to be Francis for 24 hours. That's it, Andy. That's all I ask.
When he finds a premium hand, he must be cackling internally.
Yeah.
He must, oh my God, I don't believe it. Please, someone have ace 9.
Just anything to continue with. And Lorenk doesn't look like he's calling in the big. Oh, maybe. After earlier scenes with the 7 deuce against Ryan Spittles. No, this time, lets it go.
7 deuce. Just for you.
What time is this finishing? We'll be finishing up probably just before 12:30. No, sorry, 1:45. Come back at 1:45, now 2:30.
Now tell me, have you ever seen someone VPIP 49% online and not give them a fish tag?
Online. Depends what game.
Yeah, it does.
Just 6 card PLO, 6 max. Be perfectly fine.
Get 5, 1,000.
I once played in a 6 max tournament in Las Vegas, and there was a guy on our table. Someone said he was a big player, and I managed to find out who he was. He's on the Hendo mob, oh my gosh, Jax, really? He's the #1 in Austria, like he plays the super high rollers. I couldn't remember the name, quite a young looking guy. And he just played like a clown.
Oh, Lollinger.
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Linus Love.
No. He played like you would say he was an absolute clown from his frequencies.
Yeah.
You know, he played sort of 70-80% VPIP, and you know, he saw he never folded to a 3-bet, and almost never folded a flop either. So he's basically like getting the turn with nearly his whole range. And it was like he was toying with us. It was like when a cat sort of toys with its prey. It was like he was doing that with everyone at the table. I could only assume that he'd figured out that all us measly 1K players or have terrible leaks on the sort of turn and river where we overfold or overpay off or something, and he just wanted to get into that spot over and over again and exploit us. It was just insane to see. He never seemed to make a big mistake, but it seemed like it couldn't be right that he was getting to the turn so often. I've never seen it. I've never seen anyone else do that before.
Thomas Murlocov says Ripslinger. Thomas Murlocov.
Murloc, thank you very much, Thomas Murlocov. That was who it was, yes.
So, you're right, Johan's been eating that apple since the start of the session. He might have got another one. Someone said, how long does it take to eat an apple? He might just be taking little bites, saving a bit. Actually, very true. Look, he's little bite at a time. He might have gone back to running.
Legally. No, illegally. That's insane. He has it straight, then kings and jacks. And then he
Apple theory optimal.
Nice of Francis. Not be friends. Seems like a nice guy. I'm a nice guy. I know. I said that.
Pocket deuces for Dooley. On for 27. I think we could see him just fold this one, Andy. Thing is, we're not folding, are we? We're 7-handed, but I think deuces here just going to be a fold for us here as Dooley, and Dooley agrees. nice one to look down at on the button. Ace 10 of diamonds.
17,000 total.
I can't stop watching him eat that apple now.
Is it a vibrating apple?
Plus.
Johan out of the way. And Francis in the big. This is one that he's never going to fold in a million years. Suited connect up. Kind of a bit of action because board I expect Lorraine to be continuing on here
Check.
fairly often. Queen high rainbow, nice backdoors, and Francis will not be folding a gut shot.
So
And
based on
the flush
everything
shot-
you've said, is he more of a floaty guy, or do you think he's got some check raises here?
He's definitely got some check raises,
Yeah.
honestly, Addy. But he wouldn't even, he'd randomly check raise just some no equity hands as well. Like, but he'd also check raise like 5-6 some of the time here, and then call 5-6 some of the time here. And that's why he can be a real problem to play against.
I mean,
Francis.
it is an excellent board to check raise.
yeah.
I mean, it's a very legitimate
Yeah.
hand to check raise here.
Showdown.
And just gets the showdown, and the ace 10 high of Lorraine gonna be good. Gullymath said it was always funny watching Ben CB when he was on Stars having to play the $5 to $33 series tourneys. He was in absolute stitches as some of the play at the Rex. Could imagine that. Like, imagine going from grinding 10Ks online and that every day, and then having to flick in the hot 11.
So let's talk about that hand. I mean, he kind of knows that Lorenka's checked back an ace high type hand there, right, on the queen 4-3. So a sort of standard play would be to lead the turn, right? But I guess he feels like he's not going to get sort of bet off his hand very often on the turn because he's checked so many nuts. He's so tricky. We've seen him multiple times check the nuts, flop and turn. So everyone's got to think he's always got the check raise in him at every point, right?
Exactly.
So he's got his own way of balancing all his checks, right?
People underestimate him, Andy, but he's a toughie to play against, Francis. I played against him a couple of months ago at the 1K they had at Nottingham, and he was on my table early stages, and he's just a tricky customer. He puts you in some rough spots. You never really know what he's got, so it's so hard to range him and put him on a legitimate range, and sometimes you can be left in no man's land against him. It's hard to adjust.
15,000.
Like certain players you can play, they're way too passive. You adjust by playing more aggressive. The ones that are really loose, you adjust by. But Francis is he's an absolute wild card. He's just got everything in there. Saw him hero call, bet call at the Vic earlier on this year. Bet called king high correctly on the river.
Nice.
When bet raised, called king high correctly on the river. I've seen some sick hands from him, Andy, honestly. Oh yeah. No. Bluff me.
Yeah.
With when I've put my whole stack in and left one chip back and still found the bluff with one chip.
No way. No way. Was he bluffing with worse? Like, not that it matters if he
was.
holds,
Yeah,
but like...
he actually was, yeah. But it's like my board as well. It's like EP versus big blind, like 3, 4, 5, 6 or something like that, and like I've raised flop, bet turn, left myself one chip back on the river, and he's found the jam over me. It's Francis.
What a player.
To be fair, he's just got it. You got to. I guess you've got to have some bluffs there, right? You need a bluff in every spot.
Yeah, you can't have it every time, though, can you? When you raise one chip.
We're going to jump back to the action because Stephen is all in here, and that is going to be that for Stephen. He does have chop outs, so going to need a queen or an ace now to survive for Stephen, or he's going to be out the door. Nothing else working for him. Well, now can find a king to make Broadway. To actually scoop this one, and it's the 4 of diamonds, so we do lose Stephen Cahote in 14th place, down to 13 players.
Take care, bro. Okay.
Have you ever done a bluff raise where you raised less than min?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I personally haven't, but my study buddy has. Like, yeah. But he's done it. He showed me a hand history. It was amazing. Like he shoved the river for less than a min raise, and got it through.
Do you hear about Jack Hardcastle's hand in Leeds?
Go on, remind me.
The aces full.
Oh my! Oh, that hand! I wince when I think of that hand. I feel the pain of the guy. Oh. Have we already discussed that today, or is that worth recounting again?
We haven't discussed that today. We discussed it a lot in Leeds, to be fair, but just the most insane hand ever. It's just the Hardcastle factor, isn't it? They were all calling him Voodoo Jack, like he was controlling the opponent and stuff like that. That's what they were all calling him, Voodoo Jack, that night. But that was the most insane hand ever.
Pass.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't on the featured table, BRM. It was on an outer table.
We have to tell it now, don't we?
got the hand history, so let's see how good my memory is here. So we get Jack Hardcastle opening from early position with Jack 9 of hearts. Ben Bond called the small blind. They go heads up to the flop. The flop is Ace 9 6 2 clubs. Jack continues third, gets raised 2.5x from the small. Jack calls, turns, pairs the 6, but brings a flush in. I think it was like a third pot lead on the turn from the small blind. Jack calls, river comes the Jack of clubs, bringing 4 clubs to there. So the board is Ace, Jack, 9, 6, 6, 4 clubs. So Jack overbet rips for 170% pot with the Jack 9 of hearts as a bluff. And Ben Bond folds pocket aces face up, which is aces full, not realising that the board was paired, thinking he was losing to any single club.
And he kind of did the thing, you know, when you sort of hold the hand, you put your arm outstretched, the cards are face down, and you lift them up in the air so that and slam them down again, so people can kind of see what you're folding, but you're not turning them over, you know. And I think apparently he showed his cards in that way, and everybody looked at him and was like, "What? Why did you fold that?"
Yeah. I think Robbie's right actually. I think it was 9 6 6 club, then Ace of clubs, Jack of clubs. So that was the board, but the flop was 9 6 6.
That makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
But all that really matters is that, like, it came 4 clubs, and he thought he had top set, and he had top both. He had the second nuts.
Crazy.
And didn't realise he had the second nuts.
There's run good that people don't realise that they get. You can run good in all ins, but there's run good that comes in other places in the realm.
Your opponent misreading their hand.
Yep.
I've been paid off by someone calling with the underpair on a double paired board before, like when someone just didn't realise they'd been counterfeited. But yeah, Jack's hand is another level.
It's like incredible
for so much equity as well. Deep on a day two, right?
Two or three tables out, yeah. 2 or 3 tables out. So Lorraine under the gun with the jacks. Johan out the way with the 10-4 suited. Yeah, heavy call gully math it would have been. It was like 170% river jam from Jack, I recall. Jamie with an ace, going to be defending in the big hit, a little bit more than the moon click. Happy to come along. Ace 9 deuce, rainbow board. So Jamie flopping best here. Like small bet from the rank here. Ace 9 deuce rainbow as the EP opener versus BB. Should be a board. Gonna almost always be betting. And size and choice like it a lot. Quarter pot here. Definitely board would want to go small lump. And Jamie just calling, as he should be. No need to raise. Got rank, obviously, still got all the stronger ace-X in his range. Check on the turn. And on most rivers, I was going to say I expect Jamie to lead fairly small and decides to check. Maybe aware that Laurent may still be checking back some ace-king, ace-queen on the turn versus us in the big blind. I think we could definitely lead small there for Jamie. Go for value versus some 10s through kings, and perhaps 9x suited that's opened.
You can mix it up there. You can also occasionally get a bluff by checking.
How are we doing, EVM? Good evening to you.
No, sorry. Good evening.
I'm glad of the extra time bank cards this time. You know, we got 2 extra time bank cards. It was it used to be 4 time bank cards, and there's 6 now.
Oh, okay.
And I think there's 2 more after the bubble as well. So I like that's a significant improvement in my opinion. With only 4, I felt like it's not that I didn't even get you through them all, but you feel more precious about them.
Yeah.
You feel very averse to using any of them when you've only got 4.
Yeah.
When it's a whole day of poker ahead. So I think that's a very bad thing if you're scared of using one.
I think it'll probably never happen, but I think you should have 5 time bank cards. You should have 1 2-minute time bank and the rest 30 seconds. I reckon you should have like 1 2-minute one that you could obviously save, and then when you've really got your tough spot.
You can achieve the same thing with 6 30-second ones, right?
Yeah,
just,
of course.
And everyone, I think all the dealers today were playing it as though it was an auto time bank, so they were just, you know, after the hand they were saying hand over 3 of them or 1 of them or whatever.
So
wow.
Just he's shoving over through open, effective for 23 big blinds. So that's perfectly fine. You alright?
What's that tray? Yeah, Jack showed. Oh, to your rubbish. How was your supper?
It was nice. It was nice. Yeah. Nice bit of salad. That I left.
Cool.
Time banks for bounties. If you bust someone, you get their time banks as well. That would be really weird though. Imagine sitting there with like 40 time banks on a ladder, waiting, just using them one after the other. No one can call clock on you because you've got 40 time bank chips in front of you, just sitting there using them one after the other. I've read something on Twitter the other day actually. There was a tournament with a shot clock in play. And basically, someone called clock on someone why they had no time bank chip and had like 20 seconds or something left to act. And then the floor person come over and said, "You've got a minute to act, and then your hand's dead."
I didn't realise it was that.
Yeah, I know. So I don't actually know how it works. Like, can you still call clock on someone with a shot clock's in play?
Can you call clock on yourself?
Yeah, exactly. Ace Jack on the button for Jamie. He's chipping up quietly there in seat 9. Good first hour for him for the last session, raising into Johan's big blind, and Johan with the king 6 off it. That's a call. Both players catch a piece. Top pair, top kicker for Jamie. Bottom pair for Johan.
17,000.
Check that call. That's what we should be seeing here. There is the call. ace of clubs on the turn. So it does bring in Broadway draw for Johan, but now top 2 for Jamie. So just gets better. Just want to go for another street here as Jamie now. I'm probably going to size up here. There's potential to get some stacks in from rivers. Maybe 3/4 around 60, leaving 202 in the middle and 180 in Johan's stack the time that he calls.
King 6 feels pretty thin right at this point.
Yeah, now on this ace turn, yeah, we picked up equity with our gut shot, but it's just a board that's supposed to be all over Jamie here. Obviously he's opening on the button, and these are boards that tend to be over bluffed. I feel when a button opens and they get the ace on the turn, I feel like they're almost always barreling. Johan is going to take one more off here with the King 6. Jamie actually opted for just over half for the sizing choice and gets a clean brick on the river here. So last hand for me, guys, and then last hour with the tower and Mr. Hills. Tower's itching to get in. I've already warned Andy about you today. What do you have for breakfast, Tower? Do you have something every morning? Yeah, it's a genuine question.
I had a protein flapjack.
That must be it, Andy. That's the secret.
That's the key, yeah.
That's what gives him all this energy at this late hour after sitting here all day. So a bet from Jamie and a quick fold from Johan. But cheers, Andy. Enjoyed that. I will get myself
See the camera on and wave to Ra.
I will wave to Ra. Oh, I can't.
Oh,
We've got no comms cam.
Closed again.
I don't like that shot either. Better change that. Quick sub.
Get to bed, you. Yes, I can sit far away from the microphone, you know that. Evening, everybody. Welcome back. I'm here. I'm not going home. I'm not going home. Thanks, Andy. Thanks, Andy.
Well, it's been interesting poker today.
It has.
We've got some action players.
I tell you what, it's been one of those. When you still got an average stacker over 60 bigs, you just sometimes wonder why you're down to 15. You know, but
Yeah.
it has been one, and there's been a couple of hands that I've been watching on the hour tables, and Stevie Watts still in, got a bit lucky, and then the very next hand he's got really unlucky against Ryan Spittles, and he's back down to his short stack, but he's still going on, and it's been interesting. It's been an interesting day. 114. And we're down to 15. I think it's 15. Are we on 15 or are we on 4? No. I know we're on 13. Stephen Keogh was eliminated about 10 minutes ago. So Stephen Keogh was eliminated in 14th, which means we're down to 13.
It's becoming really common now, isn't it, for to get down to nearly the final on the end of day 2?
Yeah.
Even though there's more players in the tournament. It's
Exactly.
just-
Yeah.
and it's the same structure. It's the same 1 hour clock.
Yeah, speaking to Dina earlier, and she's like, it just seems like we've got nothing to do. 350 runners in the main, and there's nothing to do. And there's a side event going on, and there's 6 cash tables. And you think, and she said, because we've been super busy since we restarted in July last year, and nothing slowed down, 350 seems like, well, where is everybody? It's bizarre. And yet, pre-COVID, 350 would have been a record.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it is bizarre. You must have. I know you would. I don't think you're travelling as much at the moment as you used to, like
Sure.
2019, 2018, and all that. But you must still find whenever you travel, there's still the numbers are just mad.
Oh, they are.
Everywhere.
Vegas this summer was incredible.
Yeah.
You know, they've had more record-breaking tournaments. Everything's huge. Yeah.
24%, I do believe, the first place for the GUKPT, and it always has been. And not always has been, I'm saying it's around that. You always double your money when you get in the money, and it's normally roughly 10% of the field that get paid, and 10% of the total field, and not just the uniques.
I did like the pay structure.
Yeah.
Today,
Yeah.
even though I didn't quite make it.
No.
It was. I liked it.
Yeah. Dooley's in with the 7's going to get looked up here by Jamie Lee. Going to get looked up by Jamie Lee.
No, you didn't.
Oh, wow.
Okay, it's an 18 big blind shove.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess he felt ace jack didn't because it was all the players to act behind.
Ace queen for Johan in seat number 3.
I think he's going to call this. No. Again,
Oh, yeah.
I guess they're assigning him a stronger range for the 18 big blind jam. Maybe they think the ICM is coming to this with 13 left, that he's shoving a tighter range, whereas a lot of people would induce a hand as strong as ace queen, ace king. Maybe they think that on 18 big blinds, even though you would often induce that, because of ICM, because of only 13 left, he's just putting it in and buying the maximum fold equity.
Well, Francis overdone as many with the ace 2 suited.
Well,
he does have 1.5 million in chips. So 7's against ace 2.
that
Dooley's
can't
in
be-
chip.
Surely not. Surely not. Surely not ace 2. No, he's folded, I think.
Francis scored.
Has he?
Yeah, we put the chips in the middle.
What? So he's got ace jack to fold, an ace queen to fold, an ace 2 to call.
His big favourite.
Is this some black magic? Like Dooley's sort of put a Jedi mind trick on his
Yeah,
opponents?
and the
Like,
ace jack would have
That's-
sent Dooley to the rail.
this is a bonkers hand. This is insane. If the 7s, I mean the 7s are an enormous favourite now, but that the 2 aces have been
There we
folded.
go.
That-
Ace jack fold. If ace jack calls,
That is daft. I mean, that's a daft hand. I mean, the ace jack obviously had more right to call than the ace 2, but I can see why ace jack folded.
yeah,
I don't really understand why ace 2 called there.
yeah, and we're quickly going straight over because we have, is that Matt Davenport? Matt's in the middle.
Hoarding and code.
Why do you hear this?
There's Matt Davenport's chip stack, which is 100, 200 queens.
No, I'm just checking.
Queens, we've seen lots. I think it's 9.
No,
Sweet
it
chance for Matt
wasn't.
Davenport to double up.
I just thought.
Who's got the queens and who's got the nines?
No, what I said is that I got your stack right. I was just concerned that I didn't get the chips right.
3, 4, 5. Pretty dry for the queens. Still pretty dry. Needs to fade one of the 2 9s to survive, and does.
200,000, right?
Matt Davenport doubles up.
He's deep in everything.
Yeah.
Everything. He's unstoppable.
Well, I had a quick chat with him this morning as well. Yeah, and he's so humble as well, isn't he?
He's one of. I mean, I know people say this too much. He's really one of my favourite poker players.
Yeah.
It really is. He's awesome. I've played with him for years.
Yeah. Yeah, he's having a fantastic year, and obviously with the change in the structure where you have to cash to get in the points, makes a lot of difference. You don't have to go bombing up and down the M1 every day for different tournaments. So he definitely helps. That you're having to cash, so you don't have to go chasing the points around the country as much, especially on the same weekend. So it's certainly helping, and it's going to be tough to catch him. That is for sure.
Very consistent, and as you say, really very, very humble. No ego there.
Did somebody say? Did somebody just say yeah, black magic? Yeah, not the chocolate kind either. Mother's favourite chocolate, you know. If you don't buy her a box of black magic on her birthday, don't go round. That's the that's what she always said. Evening, Chunky Monkey. Abu Chunky. Good evening. Watching at this late hour. We've got about an hour left tonight. A little bit later than the last couple of days because of the pauses for when we had a 24, we had a redraw and a redraw at 16 and the bubble. Yeah, like Andy said, the ace jack folding, the ace queen folding, then we ace two calls. The ace jack calls, nobody else calls, and we lose one.
I mean, you can call wider in a small blind because you're nearly closing the action, but it's quite far off the mark. I mean, you can't put your opponent on exactly king jack. You know, you can't put them on one hand or a tiny part of the range. One of the interesting things about when you've got a wild card at the table who's capable of doing something like that, it does make it a very scary two shove. You know, it means that if you find king queen on sort of 16 big blinds, you kind of want to put it in.
Yeah,
it does change the maths a bit because it's catastrophic to get called that wide. You know, if someone's calling with a rag ace, it's catastrophic. You know, with all the ICM.
Yeah,
to go out in 13th.
Yeah, it's absolutely
because of a wild card just making a mad call.
So Freddy's short stack. He hasn't gone all in. He's made it 75. He's left the 3 yellow chips behind. Got to be thinking Laurent Bocci is going to be calling, or even making it, making Freddy all in. Jamie will get out of the way. Go back round to Laurent. I just made it up. So he made it up.
Is he doing the thing of checking the action of the table to ladder a spot?
I think he is.
Yeah.
I don't think.
It's a little hack.
It is.
It's a little hack to see what's happening on the table. Don't call until the other guy's busted.
Yeah, but I don't think there is any action on the outer table.
Yeah, he genuinely is doing that. He's not making any apologies for it.
No.
You know, he was prepared to use his time bank to do it.
Yeah, he's had a look round.
It's his time bank card.
Yeah.
You know,
he's had a look round. He's realised there's no hand in play on the other table. He can't get a ladder. So.
Legend. Thank you.
So Freddy's all in with the ace-9 against Laurent Bocci's ace-jack.
Seven's good.
You'll like that.
So here we go. We need a 9 to survive, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, we are down to
7 or an 8.
12. No, it's not. We had chop outs as well. Freddy. £4,850 for 13th place. We're down to 12.
Sit open, feature 5.
Sit open, feature 5. What's next for you live, Andy? Says Gully Math.
I'm going to France on Monday. There's an event near Bordeaux, sort of on the west coast of France. Nothing huge, just a 500 main event and a 1k high roller. So it's kind of a sweet spot.
Yeah. Dave Doherty brought a trophy home from France last week.
Did he?
He did. I don't know what festival it was.
The French, I mean, I don't like to stereotypes, but they're crazy, right? In poker, they are. I mean, they used to have a reputation as being bad at poker, but they are wild. You know, you can get into a hand with so many French players, and you think, well, I mean, you might think it's hard for him to have a bluff here. I don't see what hand could sort of donk bet the turn, call a raise, and then lead the river. I can't really put him on a total bluff. and they can find they can have some insane hand that you thought would have folded at some early point in the hand. They try really hard to win pots, so they're they're very, very out of line. But it's extremely high variance. I find it's fun, but it's very high variance and really mind bending.
He had first world problems because he had to email and message the airline to see if he could bring his trophy.
Oh, I love it, yeah.
Because he was too big for everything and so heavy.
You know what? You know when I was on that final table in Malta, that would have been a really nice problem to have. Did you see the size of the trophy?
Enormous.
Right? The swords. Like, yeah, you can't take a sword on the plane, mate. Yeah, that would have been an awesome problem to have.
Yeah.
I nearly won one of those comedy checks once. I came second in the game where they had one of those sort of meter-sized checks.
Yeah. So we're on 12. We are in the final level of the day. I'd be amazed if we actually get to the final table. We are on 12.
And of course Blackpool after France.
It is. It is. Are you there for the whole of it or just part of it?
Right, should be. Yep, should be.
Excellent. Did you see the satellite here for the first event of the festival?
Nope.
They have the £75 satellite for 2 seats.
Okay.
You know, they have a double satellite, so you get a seat for the mini and a seat for the
the main event.
mystery bounty.
Oh, the mystery. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got 16 seats.
16.
16 and cash for 70.
Amazing.
It was incredible.
Wow.
Talking of Blackpool, here it is. I know you can't see us. Oh, there's a thinking face. The live stream camera's obviously froze, but there's a thinking face. But that's the schedule for Blackpool. Starts on Thursday, the 3rd of November, with the mystery bounty and mini main satellite, and then the bounty starts on the Friday. The mini main runs on, the high rollers on, the PLOs on. Remember when Wednesdays used to be like the day off?
I do.
And nobody did anything in the calm down before the main event started.
I think
There's now 5
did you
events.
used to have the PLO that day, or was that the Thursday? I get.
It used to be Thursday. It used to be Thursday. Then they moved it to the Wednesday because Wednesday had nothing on it.
Yeah.
And now there's 5 events.
Yep.
And then it's just got so busy. But that's the full schedule. If you want to just grab a screenshot of that, you can. But Blackpool is on the way. Starts on the 3rd of November. The illuminations are still on this year, all the way through until Christmas. You've got to walk the illuminations with a Kiss Me Quick hat on and a packet of candy floss.
I spoke to someone who, in an enthusiastic tone, said, "Oh, I've never seen the Blackpool illuminations." What would you say to that person?
Really?
Really?
Really? Where have you been for the last however long you've been born?
Well, it's more like, it's not as good as you might think it's going to be.
They're all right to drive once. There's plenty going on, and obviously the grand final will be announced at some point.
I think this is normally just going to get through here. I mean, it's quite ambitious to sort of do a cold 4-bet with the pocket 3s out of position. Depends on the stacks, but it's a lot of chips to rip in. There was a time when people did this more, but I think it's normally just going to go fold, 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 fold.
My legs are like that.
So the final 45 minutes of the day, we're on 12, as you can see in the top right. Andy Hills and myself until we finish tonight. Any action on the hour tables will let you know.
Nice, isn't it?
Winner. Francis, spoke to Francis before we started this morning. Played a little clip earlier. I said, do you change your play when you come onto the feature table rather than just sitting on a normal table? And most people said, no, I don't, you know, I just try and play my same game. He went, yep, I try and entertain.
Well, he does that. He certainly does that.
Hoarding call 15. Oh yeah, everybody's up. Even Frankie.
Fairly poor hand and a terrible hand. I think Francis is going to check back here.
Here's King 10.
Oh, we're miles away from this board, so I think anyone who bets is going to win this.
Yes. First bet wins, as they say.
So I would say that Johan can very plausibly have a crack at this board. He could plausibly be trapping on the limp pre-flop here, so he's got a little bit more of the good high cards, and you know, Queen Tens and Ace X and so on. But he might decide that his cards are so bad that this will just be one of his give-ups. You know, go either way.
First bet wins.
And if you think that Francis is going to sort of overfloat you, then you know you don't want to take a biro to a sort of nuclear arms race. You know, let's not go to war with a crazy guy with 7 high.
Well, don't forget there will be a book tomorrow for the remaining players. At the moment, it's only 12. That's one of the shorter books that's going to be available on Grosvenor Sport tomorrow morning from 9 AM. You can bet until 12. Grosvenor Sport. There will be a GUKPT book for the remaining 12 players. As it stands now, there might be less by the time we're finished, but as it stands now, 12. Gully Master just saying exactly the same. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Penny entertains us. Can you buy Halloween props on the dark web using cryptocurrency? I actually wouldn't know how to access the dark web. I really wouldn't.
I'm considering I have a computer science degree.
Yeah.
I'm way out. I don't have any crypto. I don't even know how to do it. It's embarrassing.
No, I wouldn't even know how to get into the dark web or anything like that. Forget that malarkey. I can just turn it on, and if it doesn't turn on and work, I just shout PK. That's me and computers all over. So raise to 20. Francis makes it up in the small.
Really?
That's a nice fold.
Yeah. Well, he's defended the 4-3 in the small. What?
Yes, and the big blind. Oh yeah, it must have been a raise. It was a raise to 20.
But he's defended the small with the 4-3.
With the 4-3. We said he's here to entertain.
He's here to play.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, same here, bro. Like seriously, same here.
Well, I mean, if you're going to defend the 4-3, I mean, this is a flop that you've you've hit this almost as well as you can hit a flop. You can't not be continuing on this flop if you're going to defend that.
6 of diamonds would be interesting.
Yes, I think I'm kind of new to this guy.
Absolutely. Check the Jack of Diamonds, the King of Spades on the river. Would be Johan's pot if it goes, but Francis just said have some of them apples.
Oh my god.
He's just said have some of them apples. You've checked it all the way, there you go. The 4 high will win.
Solver says no. Small blind says I couldn't give up Francis.
Amazing. I'm just going to quickly nip out to the outer table because this was the shouting and the screaming from the outer table, and this is Stevie Watts with the ace queen against the ace 9 to get a double. I personally would like to see those cards on that line, because I personally think that's what that line is for, personally. But Watto doubles, just personal opinion.
I can get on board with that.
There you go. He's a geezer.
Yeah, let's see you win with 4 high then, mate, before you get all cocky.
Yeah.
Like
that was the double.
That 4 high hand, it just reminds me of I heard someone told me a hand history once, like a sort of a fun player told me a hand history. So he said, so I just folded a hand. So I decided, and this is before the next hand I got it. He decided, right, it's time for a bluff. Before he'd been dealt his cards, right? He decided he was going to do a bluff with whatever he got dealt under the gun on the next hand. What a great opening to a hand history. So I decided, time for a bluff.
4 high like a boss. So you got it. He's chip leader 1.6 mil. An interesting book tomorrow if we have these 12 remaining players. Atanas is obviously just chopped the high roller. We know how Francis plays.
Oh yeah.
Jamie Lee's a very capable player. Lawrence Bocci also capable. You got the NPL leader on the other table. Stevie Watts is still in. You got Ryan Spittles, who's had a great day. It's going to be an interesting book in the morning. And also, when you think the average stack is 60 bigs, we knew we had to slow down at some point, and we could be on 12 for 2 or 3 hours tomorrow.
Why are you racist against the SP?
Because I'm allowed to.
He doesn't know what the word sex is. Shit. I think I'm the racist one.
Foreigner, what do you expect?
I'm foreigner. I'm joking. You actually have amazing English. I'm teasing you.
10 seconds. Yeah, fold and get it over with. Is this a stall or what?
We have a rights too, you know?
So this is one of the disadvantages of the time bank system.
Yeah.
It kind of people feel like it authorises them to use more time than they probably would do otherwise. So this is one of the counter arguments against it.
Yeah, when you're down to the last 2 tables, and you're looking around to see if anybody's going all in, and there's pay jumps every time somebody gets knocked out.
Unfortunately, the maths just sort of makes it sometimes correct to do something that, you know, it's not great if everyone does it, but
yeah,
it's the maths is the maths, you know.
We're going to see a flop.
Non-believer. You're a non-believer.
A non-believer. You've shown 4-eye, Francis. The 4-eye makes everybody a non-believer. Oh, 2, 3, 4. What a flop that would have been if even though he still won the hand. Something's happening on the other table. By the looks of that.
Told you I'm not messing around. Francis, you're on fire. You don't believe me because of my normal shenanigans. I haven't had to do that shit today. I'm getting cards. He's had it every day. I haven't had to go crazy. Is that guy doubled up again? Is that guy doubled up again? Yeah. Same hand
Whoever's been on the playlist selection today has been top class. The music in the background has been great. I don't think you can actually hear it coming through the live stream. We can hear it, and it's been great.
Presumably you get like copyright issues, right? If the music does come.
Yeah.
In theory, anyway.
We do. Yeah. Normally when we do Joker's Wild at Goliath, it normally cuts it out and what have you. But I don't know what the laws are regarding. If you pay PRS, you should be able to do anything, shouldn't you?
Sure.
Same as if you've got a genuine Spotify or a genuine YouTube account, you should be able to just play anything. Just because you put it onto. You can always say, "This is not me singing." It really isn't. Even though Jay does look like.
Oh no! What is this picture?
What is that?
Do something about that picture, man. What's going on?
Even though Jay does look like George Michael, you know.
He does. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got Robbie Savage sat next to us. Are you going to take the Ewan McNicholas step soon?
No.
Definitely not.
No.
Did you see Ewan?
I have seen him this weekend, but he hasn't had it cut yet, has he?
Today?
Oh, today?
Well, yesterday he went to the barber's.
He talked about it.
He sat in the chair for 3.5 hours.
Wouldn't take that long.
Well, that's what I thought. But, it's a complete makeover.
No. I'm not authorised to do that. It's not up to me. Not happening.
He said he fancied a change.
I'm pot committed.
He fancied a change. And that was it. Done. Oh, I'd already been talking about it, had he?
A while back he said he was thinking about doing it for a charity or something, or to donate it to, Yeah.
He could have filled the pillow, that is for sure.
For sure. Oh, yeah.
today has been great, man. I don't have to get up on chips. Today I've just had hands.
You were lucky as well. You were on all faces. I wasn't
Maybe I get lucky, but I'm saying I had hands. Normally I have to do some crazy madness to get my chips.
So we're on 12. And we are coming up to the final 30 minutes of the day.
And what a miserable spot for Johan.
Yeah.
What a miserable seat for you. I mean, okay. So when I guess he's got pretty short now, so he's just going to play, sort of shoving strategy. But even that's pretty miserable. Now we've seen that Francis call off with the ace-2 against the 18-bit blind under the gun jam. So even that isn't much fun.
It's weird how you look at his stack, but he still has 11 bigs. That little stack there, he has 11 bigs, which is just shows how deep this.
Oh yeah, I'll take
from now.
I'll take an 11.
Oh, they're in. Johan is in.
Well,
Dooley with king queen.
I don't think he's got fold.
Yeah. Anybody else on the table calls. It's just up against the short.
He's not loving it. Dooley is not.
Definitely not.
Not loving it with the king queen here, but I think he's going to call because it's 11 big blinds. I think the maths is just going to make it a real. It's close though. It is closer than it looks. I think. Yeah.
He has announced it. We have an all in and a call, and we could be losing one, but we are in front, Johan. Wow, King Jack 9, the all in is the ace 10. Doesn't want to hit 2 pair now, Dooley. So kings and 9s at the minute. We're going to need a queen!
Oh!
Oh my days, he didn't want to see the 2 pair. Oh
wow.
Man, survival for Johan. 250 and 25 bigs.
118, 125.
Ouchie, ouchie, ouchie. So we get a double for Johan against, and that makes Dooley the short stack. And we have around about 30 minutes to go until the end of the session. Are you playing tomorrow?
Oh
you
yes.
Can't play the first one, we know. But you can play the 200.
I can. I'll be playing the 200 turbo.
Nice one.
Do you ever play the seniors thing? You can't play them just because you're
working,
right?
working. Unless we've
Have you played any seniors events anywhere?
I cashed in the Irish Open seniors this year.
Nice.
I have an Ireland flag.
Nice.
And I just came home from Vegas before the seniors was on in the World Series. Or else I might have played that.
Cool.
I think the idea is hopefully to play the seniors in Vegas next year. That's the plan.
Do it.
Obviously regarding the schedule, what GUKPT and work is at the time. We'll see what happens. The schedule doesn't come out until the end of March, early April. At the end of March it normally comes out. The WSOP schedule. Hoping that Grosvenor do something for the Battle of Malta as well next year. 2019. Final table yourself. And there was about 100 Grosvenor package winners that went over. And this year they didn't do anything for it, so hoping they do it again for next year. So
yeah, that will be good.
Fantastic stuff.
Oh yeah.
It really is. So we're on 12. 114 started today. We've lost 102 players. We're in the money. The bubble didn't take too long. And we whittled them down. Oh, we're down to 12. Do you not think Atanas in seat number 6 has got a little bit of Carl Pilkington about him? You know the Idiot Abroad TV programme that he did? Face on it, a little bit. That's what I'm thinking anyway. Larink Bocci, 729, 73 big blinds.
10 seconds.
He's not wanting to play too many hands. You can tell the way he counts down 25 every time it's his turn to act.
Johan's going to do something here. I imagine he's just going to raise to sort of 2 point something X. He kind of doesn't want it to go 3-way with ace-9, so there's a lot of reason not to min it here, you know, given that you could make a case for going bigger unless Francis just doesn't give a monkeys. Like you don't want Francis to call 4-3 and for the big blind to overcall when you've got when you have the ace-9 doesn't play like super well in a 3-way pot. So
well, they both whiff, but Johan is in the lead.
it's all very well being in the lead, but you've got to get to somehow to get a showdown against the head case.
Yeah, old Francis.
You know, and this is the thing about poker. It's the great thing is it's a tough game. Like if against someone who has got all the moves, you know, they've got everything in their repertoire. There's no easy way to win a hand. You know, if you check you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You know, if you bet the flop, you can get check raised. If you check back, you can face 2 successfully big bets. So you know, there's no easy way to play against a beast player.
About 60,000 from Johan, and Francis gets out of the way. He's given up.
So it's a great question that asked by Chase Rich. So in principle, when you have a good hand, yes, you do want the people to call with worse hands, right? That's fairly simple logic, right? You do want people to have a worse hand than you, but you have to ask how you're going to get to showdown and how many opponents you're going to have. So when you min it and the small blind is calling with an extremely wide range, there's a lot of boards where, unless you connect with the board, which you usually won't, the ace-9 is going to give you a lot of trouble. It's different if you've got aces. Of course, if you have aces, you don't really care how much action you get with aces. You know, just keep in the maximum number of stupid hands. But when you have ace-9, you're normally going to whiff the flop, and you're normally going to face nasty decisions against Francis. Or indeed the big blind if he plays competently. So when you see the percentages on the screen, this is known as hot and cold equity. That's as though you're all in from this position. It's not taking into account the fact that someone might make you fold on a future street. So just because you're 30% against a couple of nonsense hands, or 40% against some nonsense hands, doesn't mean you're going to win 40% of the time. Sometimes you're just going to get horrible cards where you can't continue and face horribly large bets from someone like Francis.
Yes, a hearts again for Johan. This time suited with a 9.
Yeah.
Well, Valerie, you really should want aces versus 3 random hands. It's much better to be against 3 random hands than hands that are more equitable.
That's an ass. King, queen. Oh my days. Dooley. Dooley, dooley, dooley. What do we dooley? Makes the call. Dooley, big chance to get a double from Atanas. Johan gets out of the way with the ace suited. All in and call on the feature. Atanas shows king queen. And Dooley has got the ace queen off. Big chance to double for Dooley.
I want to even the odds a bit more.
I appreciate it. I thought you just beat me, man.
Oh, wait. You have king queen or?
I have ace queen.
Yeah, okay, good. Then we even the odds more 50-50.
So Chase Twitch. So when you say about zero sum, yeah. So one of the problems you've got is there's many problems you've got here. One of them is board coverage, because it's known that you're not opening certain hands from the button. So there's certain boards where against 2 relatively wide ranges you just have to give up, unless you're willing to make really, really thin call downs with ace high. But that plays into a second problem, which is ICM. So when you're playing a shallower stack, it's you're going to get put in much harder spots where you just have to be right more often, because you're going to be left with a decimated stack if you're wrong. So it gives an advantage to the bigger stack.
So we got the double for Dooley off Atanas. Down to the final 20 minutes or so today. 12 left.
Yeah, I mean, you have all the chips, Francis. All this. Yeah, I don't need to check. You can also check. Just get time banks tomorrow. Or brand new 6 or something.
6 time banks.
Yeah, we don't. Even if you have 10, they take them from you. That's why.
I have one for the time being because we don't know.
You want £5?
No, I have 2.
I'll sell these for 1,000 chips each.
Oh, then other. I mean, I swear that I would do that honestly. If you think about it.
The last
10 seconds.
Yeah, and you never know. For example, this ICM 1,000.
I guess.
Big blind stand is a 10th of the
I would
decision.
Make
3 seconds.
Johnny Kelly in the background. 4 cashes in Malta. 4.
Good.
1 at cash. He had put on his social media. He had four football bets on the Saturday. All 4 came in. He put them on social so everybody could see. He had a successful Malta, did Johnny, and did a couple of hours in the comms box on the final day.
No controversy there, Rhythms. Of course, you shouldn't talk about what you had while the hand's still in play. It's a no-brainer. It's against the rules. And common sense.
Indeed.
25.
Francis raises it up to 25. Atanas could see a flop with a6. Father's on the button. He decides against it. Duel it. They ain't playing the 9-3.
One more hand. No, what she? I need 2 or 3 more hands.
Next to him in the muck. Back there to Jamie Lee. Are we defending with a King 6? Yes, we are. No, we're not. Well, he chucked it in the chip. Have a quick look over. What is happening? I think there's a triangle in the middle. There is a triangle in the middle. And it's Ka with the King Queen of Hearts against 8s.
Wow. That's as sweaty as it gets, right? I think the King Queen is a favourite there. Wow, more out.
We need a double, we need a heart, a 9, an ace. No! It's a heart!
How do you win that?
I think it's like 40%.
Crazy Andrew
Down to 200k.
You guys. You get the guys. No!
That's right.
Two went out.
I was actually thinking no because of deuce. I was thinking deuce in my head. It's become a deuce hard.
And leaves Matt down on 100,000, 120,000 and about 12 bigs. How many hands? 4, 5 or 6? Well, yesterday 4 was 5 to 1 and it came in. Today 6 has dropped down to 1 to 3. 5's going to be even money and 2 to 1 to 4. So back to 6 again tonight, says Mick the Mod. Go on then, I'll go 5.
I think people have different opinions on the thing about, when someone's all in.
Yeah.
A lot of people feel like it's bad, like etiquette to say, "Oh, I folded a jack" when you need a jack. I just think I personally think that's nonsense, just because it doesn't change anything.
No.
The cards are still in the same order in the deck. It's not. It's like, do you want to get bad news in 5 seconds' time, or do you want to get the bad news now? It doesn't. You can still get there when someone's folded a jack. Is it really important to keep your hope alive for 5 extra seconds and be deluded? I'm just my nature. I like to know the facts. Like if I had a terminal disease, I'd like to know it, so I can plan my life according to a silly example. But I'm a person who likes to know stuff rather than not know it. So I don't give a monkey's. If someone tells me, "Oh, I folded a jack and I folded 2 jacks and I need a jack," I don't care. Fine. I'm like, "Oh, cheers." I don't really care.
It's just the etiquette.
But some people do. So I don't say anything because other people do care. But I don't care. And I don't think they should care.
So connected for Lauren Bocci in seat number 2. He won't do anything until the clock gets. Oh, he has. Now he's checked.
Interesting play. Wow, Atanas is really going for it here. He's just decided you can't bluff me with a donk bet, or you can't win this by just betting a weak pair on this board.
10 seconds.
Time bank used. Show me if I pass. What happens if you say yes? Do people automatically think you're bluffing?
I think I don't ever say anything in this spot. I just don't think it's ever. It's never seemed good to say anything, regardless of whether I've had it or not.
Yeah. Well, here's the time bank and folded.
But why would you believe? 4 left, right? Maybe 5 4 left.
I think maybe against a really amateur player, I've occasionally felt that they would be more likely to fold if I said, "Yeah, I'll show you."
Yeah.
I think they've been a bit naive. That's the only time I've ever been influenced by it. Otherwise, I've just kept stum.
And also, there's other people. So
Andy Wilson's Book of Life tells, if they're talking to you with a smile on their face, they've already folded.
yeah, I like that.
Nice one, Andy. Hope to see you in Blackpool. Good luck if you're playing the EPT next week.
I once played an event in the Win, and so this is sort of related to the subject about talking about what outs you folded. And I'd opened, and maybe there were 2 shoves, and I kind of wanted, this is just a thing sometimes. I wanted to show that I wasn't out of line in my open for whatever reason. I wanted to sort of broadcast that I had a solid hand. Maybe I thought there was a lot of amateurs that maybe thought I was out of line or something. So I folded my ace queen suited or something face up. And I got some stick for it. It was like, well, don't show your hand, because someone saw that they needed the queen, or I don't know what it was. And the thing that was astounding was the tournament director sort of mocked me for saying. He said to me like, "Oh, you don't have to show everyone how clever you are for folding ace queen." It's like, well, I'll show. I'm entitled to show the hand I'm folding when I close the action. I'm entitled. I think it's totally within my rights to do that. I wasn't doing it to rub, I didn't know what anyone else had. I wasn't doing it for any other reason. I just for a table image reason, I wanted to show I opened with a solid hand and wasn't wasting anyone's time with, wasn't fake tanking or something. So I don't know. I think people get a bit fascist about that stuff. I think just take a chill pill,
Absolutely.
People don't always have a sinister reason for doing something.
Yeah.
And 3 of 6.
So, hand 3 of 6. I didn't even shout 6. I must admit, they must have whispered it to me. Must have been Frankie. He'd have whispered it. Well, hand 3 of 6, says the dealer. I didn't even hear them shouting the six hands.
I'm going to get the viewers.
3 of 6. This is 3 of... So it was 6. The 1 to 3 favourite came in today.
This is number 3. 6.
Yeah, right? Matt, did you order like a double portion, Matt? Like mine is tiny. Did you order a double portion?
So Valerie, again, the whole thing about talking about your percentages versus 2 random hands, and how much more is in the pot versus how much equity you lose. The thing to remember is equity is not the same as EV. So when you have a really good hand like aces or queens or something, those hands not only have lots of equity, they have loads of EV, particularly in position. You get to realise more EV than other people do, because you have really, really solid bluff catcher. Sometimes even on a slightly bad run out, you just often have an overpair to the board or a very high pair. And you have something you can value bet with more zeal. So this is why the EV is actually higher than the equity with these hands. You can get more out of the hand, and especially with position. So so equity isn't the whole story, and the corollary to that is there's certain hands that are harder to play, especially when you haven't connected with the board, which you usually don't, and they have. The problems you have with those hands are the same as just as you have the good things about aces and queens. You have the problem that you don't get to realise your equity so much. You don't get to the river, even though you did have the best hand. You get bluffed more often. And you can't extract. When you have the best hand with ace high on the river, you can't get any more from it because your hand isn't good enough to value bet. So moral of the story is, bring it on. When I've got aces, I'll take all the action. Ace is a ridiculously durable hand.
Once it shows him the flush, and Johan folds his down to 206.
I want to eat after we finish.
Yeah, same.
I don't want to.
Yeah, I want you to go.
Yeah, let's go by the bar and have
Not the board, the table.
I'm gonna be here. I mean, let's see how it goes. If I'm here, if I'm my. Three more hands.
Oh, I thought we went over.
He doesn't need 4 cards. He doesn't even need 2, really, does he?
The problem is if they've registered in Francis's box, then Francis's cards will go. So we'll see what happens. We'll have to see. Jamie Lee raises to 20,000 with the 2s. All falling onto the big blind. That's an ace.
Thank you.
Nope.
No, I made them take it to the restaurant. No, we'll go eat in the restaurant. Don't put it in the restaurant on the table. Better, I don't have to carry it around. No, it's the server. Oh, no, obviously no.
I think this is 5 of 6. They are bagging on the other table, as you can see right there. And I think this is 5 of 6 on our table.
20.
No, it's not the final table, but we're down to the last 12.
Yeah, nice one, Sean. Just tuning in.
2 tables of 6.
Well, at the moment, we're coming back tomorrow at 12:30 with 12 players. 114 start of the day, we're down to 12. All those players on table number 2 have made it through. Ryan Spittles, Matt Davenport, Stevie Watts, and one more hand. This is it, Andrew. This is it. How do we look? Yes, normal. Yeah, there. Hey, we're looking normal. We are down to the final hand. Thanks everybody for sticking with us until the very end tonight. It's been a long one. A few extra clock stoppages during the day. And we're down to the final 12, so we'll See how the action goes. The buy is 12.50. 353 players. Scroll across the bottom. Oh, how much is coming in? It's just over £95,000 first prize. So we'll do that again tomorrow. Final hand. Everybody's bagged up on table number 2. Laurent Bocci is bagging up. So too is Johan. Francis is playing the last hand. As he... No! Francis is not playing the final hand, but Atanas is. He has not put the cards in the box. He has King 10. Boom. Thanks, Atanas. Ain't three for duel. It gets out of the way. Jamie, the Queen 7. No computer hand. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the final hand. That is it. Chip counts coming through to the end of the night. Francis Oberdon, 1.8 mil. 1.8 mil. Yeah.
What a guy.
What a guy.
4 high like a boss.
That's it. We said this morning. Now you're going to change the way you play. He says, yes, of course I am. Ryan Spittle's just over $1 million. We'll have a great chance tomorrow. Tanley, also 980. Laurent Bocci. Katang, 466. The high roller. Atanas Pavlov, they chopped it and then they played one out for the trophy. So he came second on the books to Antoine Stout. But they're down to 12, Stevie Watts, Johan and Matt Davenport. Matt Davenport making another day 3, getting more points for the NPL. He's still in the lead of the NPL and nobody's going to catch him. Thank you, sir. Thank you, really enjoyed it.
Pleasure.
Really enjoyed it. You're playing the Turbo tomorrow. We start at 12:30 on the stream. You never know, he might come in early, he might join us again, you never know, but if not, a good look in the Turbo. We will see you. Thanks everybody at this late hour for tuning in. It's been great, you've entertained us. We were lucky to tell us trouble. 2 out of 3 again. 3 weeks from 2 out of 3. We will see you. Oh, don't forget, Grosvenor Sport tomorrow morning. There will be a book with these 12 players. Whoever you want a couple of quid on, stick it on, and then we will. You'll be able to follow it all the way through. But the odds will be there on Grosvenor Sport, and there'll be links on social media from Andy Hills and the Tower and the rest of the team. We'll see you tomorrow for the final day in Luton. Ta-ta.